years ago, the Drone Champions League took the World Championship of Drone Racing to China and raced around the Great Wall. Now we return to the beautiful town of Simmental virtually with our 7 teams and me, Matt Andrews, for race day 5 of Split 2. Today, 3 matchups for you, featuring first our current leaders, Cyclone Racing, with an unchanged lineup of J-Box, the Ice Cheetah, Neon and Yayu. They'd like to maintain their perfect record. They have the DCL Wildcard Team to race against: Chugakva, West FPV, Super Spyro and Bambi. 4 pilots given the opportunity to show us what they've got. Mach 1, the all-female drone racing team, will be up next. They've got Labeba, Steph FPV, Natahova and Hologram, and they're up against the team who were runners-up of Split 1, Spain Drone Team. They're bringing back Platon Air, who made their debut last time, along with Silvio. Shrimpy Boy returns to their starting lineup, and Clone number 1 keeps his place. China Dragons are languishing in 5th place on the leaderboard. They're hoping Hosu, Gabri Prince, Zapita and Ion will get them more wins this season. And they're up against Quad Force 1, who are not enjoying Split 2 either yet. A lot of mistakes from them, but AK Drones, Hyper, QTFPV and Leviathan would like to start grabbing hold of these races. The colours show you which teams are racing in which, so you can see we have a top and bottom of the table battle, but that Quad Force 1 and China Dragons match is very close and very important in the middle. All of the matchups have 3 races. 2 pilots from each team will race each other in the first race, and the other pilots from each team will race against each other. Then the DCL Big Heat will see all 8 of them in the sky, and all of those races fighting for 4, 3, 2 or 1 point for the 4 pilots who come in those top 4 positions. After the 3 races, we'll add up all the scores. The team with the most get 3 points on that leaderboard, 1 point for a draw. Some of these teams really can't afford to get any more zeros. They're going to contend them on Simmental's new track, Temple of Speed. We're calling this the Waffle. It's a split S in and a corkscrew out. Don't worry, you'll see it many times around there before going through the Foxear Gate and then down to the old town of Simmental. After those hurdles, you climb up, duck under this one and do a hard right turn. These corridors and roads are very, very narrow and an exact replica of the real world. 2 gates to go around over the dam before you head down to the corkscrew, where there are 3 gates. Go through one and then spiral over to come through the next. Then we have a slalom. Once you've completed this, go under the bridge. Then it is a ladder up to the left, a hard 180-degree turn and then a split S out. That's Temple of Speed, and we're going to fly it for 3 laps. Let's get race day 5 to the skies. Cyclone Racing against the DCL Wildcard Team, the Ice Cheetah and Yayu against West and Chugakva to get us going. Finding our way through the streets towards the big old waffle that we have here. Let's take our first ride of the day with the Ice Cheetah, who's behind his teammate Yayu, as they weave their way now down through all these low streets, and West FPV from the Wildcard Team just flashes in front of the Ice Cheetah. Oh no, he says, Cyclone Racing, you don't have this all to yourselves. The red team are in here as well. Yayu down to the rivers first, and then all 4 drones going through that corkscrew at the same time. West here sees Yayu and the Ice Cheetah in front of him as they go through these 4 gates. Yayu, the first one of them, on to lap number 2, but for teams with such a different set of experience, for the Cyclone Racing and the DCL Wildcard Team, I gotta say, the Wildcard Team, they have turned up. Yayu, quite ahead of his teammate, the Ice Cheetah, but West and Chugakva from the Wildcard Team are not far behind the Ice Cheetah. Love it. Now we go to the dam. Yayu there first again, and he heads down to the corkscrew, 2, 3 gates, and is along the river. West is chasing the Ice Cheetah hard. Chugakva a little bit further behind, down in 4th place. Through these 4 gates with the Ice Cheetah onto the 3rd and final lap then. Yayu a little bit ahead of him still. Into the waffle. West really challenging the Ice Cheetah at all times. Yayu sees nobody in front of him. As you can see, the other 3 drones in the distance. They were very close together, so the scrap is on for 2nd and 3rd and 4th. Exiting the town, seeing Yayu along the dam. This is the Ice Cheetah again. Not seeing quite so much of West, perhaps. Oh, there's his trail. Yes, West still with him, giving the other Cyclone pilot something to think about, and Yayu has hit the 4 gates. Oh, he's going to find his way through, and I think he had enough time, yes, to get first place. The Ice Cheetah is in just ahead of West, and both of them are bounced out into the river. It's Chagakva coming in fourth, just 0.4 seconds between the Ice Cheetah and West, but ahead of them both pretty much throughout. Yayu gets the first win of the day for Cyclone. Yes, the Wildcard team not in any way scared of Cyclone Racing. Delighted to see it. West in particular giving them something to think about. Yayu just hit the gate there, but he's got such a big margin. Managed to thread all the way through, and he's such a skilled pilot. No problem getting back on track and keeping the win. Neon and J-Box against Bambi and Super Spyro in the second heat. Neon away with the Wildcard team, just beating him off the blocks. Ah, this is brilliant! Let's go, Wildcard team. Well, Super Spyro in the mix there. Bambi just slipped a little bit from being a bit too wide on one of the gate turns in the big 6-gate waffle. We go with Super Spyro. He is up into second and chasing Neon, who's through the first and then the second gate on the dam. Super Spyro pretty close to him. Bambi pretty close to J-Box as well, which is not something that J-Box would have expected, I think, and maybe just nudging around that third place and trying to steal it from J-Box. Go for it, Bambi. Lap number 2. Neon just getting a little bit further ahead of Super Spyro, just not quite so visible in front of him. He's now down towards the old town. Super Spyro still chasing him into it, but yeah, he slipped a little bit further behind. This is Super Spyro now, just going under the hurdle and turning right, and you can see no sign of the trail, but as they get to the dam where it's a bit more open, he'll realise now where Neon is in relation to him. Neon down first along the river, going for the 4 gates. Super Spyro getting J-Box gaining on him, but Bambi's still there as well. So second, third and fourth, a bit like the previous race. Very, very close and a real scrap going on there. Now on to the third lap. J-Box really close to Super Spyro, but just trying to squeeze a little bit more room between them. He's up into second. This is Neon, who's out in the lead and comfortably there right now. Round the rooftops to the dam. One of these turns will give him a chance to see who's coming, and he'll realise there's loads of room. This is J-Box, though, who's now through the first, and then a bit overshooting on the second. Yes, hit the top of it, and it's put him out of line for the corkscrew too, but I think he'll make it out of there okay and not get caught. Unless it's rattled his rhythm here on the last 4 gates. He's going to get the second place, and then it'll be Super Spyro and Bambi. They were a lot closer until that third lap, which just stretched things out a bit. Neon and J-Box getting a 1-2 there. Super Spyro, though. Oh, J-Box was behind him for a lot of it, but ended up in front of him with a little bit more in the points as a result. Oh, it was tight from the beginning. And on that third lap at the dam, J-Box, having been fighting so hard, nearly gave it away here. That really upset his rhythm into the corkscrew, and I think if he bounced off that first gate, then Super Spyro would be celebrating a second place. So we've seen West really challenging, Super Spyro doing a great job too. Can they mix it up with Cyclone Racing in the big heat? And Chagakva and Bambi, don't write them off either. They need to get a big score here. I think they're going to be beaten by Cyclone Racing unless they can pull off quite a miracle run. But I would love to see the wildcard pilots showing us the best of what they've got. Neon is in second. It's his teammate Yayu in first. Everybody is close though in the old town. J-Box and the Ice Cheetah are just moving past the wildcard team. It could be a 1-2-3-4 for Cyclone at this stage. Yes, it is. Can that last as we go down towards the river? Super Spyro fighting with J-Box again, trying to get past him. Neon! Oh, Neon into the last of the slalom poles. Oh, he's not quite so close to Yayu in seconds now, and he's got the rest of the pilots to think about too. The closest to him is still the Ice Cheetah, his teammate. And the Ice Cheetah's got his hands full with the wildcard team. Here's Yayu across the old town. Neon's going to follow him in and see Yayu hit the floor. Yayu just in front of Neon, but look how close they are now. Yayu bounced it as he went under the hurdle. That's 2 crashes in this race, one for Yayu, one for Neon, and they've both been very fortunate that they have been very square on crashes. Didn't send them far out of position, and they both managed to do a great job of recovering from them. You have to say, it doesn't look like it's rattled them very much. Neon just ahead of Yayu, and they'll be enjoying this chasing. That's great work through the waffle from both of these pilots. Out through the Foxeer gate. Neon now the first one into the town. Doesn't see Yayu in front of him this time. Heads for the hurdle. Gets under there. Yayu just flashes across him like he did a lap ago. Neon and Yayu together at the dam. Neon on the inside. Goes past Yayu. Now comes out of this a little bit swingy. Turns really early. Oh no! Turned far too soon, had no visibility because of the pre-turn. He was a bit too far over to the left. He's lost the lead to Yayu. He's lost second to J-Box. Is he giving the red team a chance to score points? No, Neon is in third. The Ice Cheetah's fourth. There's West just beating out Chugak for 5th and 6th. Then it's Super Spyro and Bambi comes home now. Wow. Neon ends up from first place down in 3rd, and he can be thankful it's just his teammates who managed to pass him, and he didn't start handing over points to the wildcard team instead. He would have loved that win. Instead it's Yayu's. And after the brilliant runs they had in the single heats earlier, to see Yayu and Neon both hitting things during this run shows you don't always have it your own way, do you? The wildcard team put up a bit more of a fight in the 2 single heats. They were just left a little bit further behind all the time. They were jostling around the points positions, but talking about 1 point for 4th rather than anything more than that. And the wildcard team needed at least 1st, 2nd and 3rd. They didn't get them. Cyclone did. All 10 points in the big heat going to them. It's a clean sweep, 24-6, the maximum score over wildcard team. Now Cyclone's rivals SDT. We'll see what they can do when they race the all-female racing team of Mach 1. Who are bringing in Hologram and Labeba to take on Platon Air and Clone Number 1. Platon Air, the 15-year-old pilot who made their debut last week, didn't get any wins but were awfully close in all of their races. A brilliant debut from them and really important for SDT. He's in fact leading all 4 pilots through the Old Town on the first run through that here. Under the hurdle with his pilot Clone Number 1, his teammate close to him, and Labeba and Hologram not very close to them at this stage. Down towards the corkscrew, it's still Platon Air who's leading. This is Clone Number 1, his teammate's view, in 2nd, close to him all the time, into the 4 gates here. Platon Air out, onto lap number 2 first. Clone Number 1 sticking with him. Here's the big waffle. And it's just Platon Air, yeah, Clone Number 1, just a little bit slower, not keeping up with this young, brilliant new pilot that they have. The gap a little bit bigger, but Platon Air leads them towards the town. Under the hurdle goes Clone Number 1, and now after they've gone through the ring, they'll do the right-hand turn over the rooftops and head down to the dam where Platon Air is getting on with it and getting away. Clone Number 1, slightly hesitant, has hit the first part of the corkscrew and sent himself skywards. Again, a fortunate bounce though. Bounced through the gate and managed to turn that into carrying on with the corkscrew, but he came out of the gate before it on the dam just a little bit high. Platon Air just catching the edge of the waffle before he exited it, but again, an unexpected crash to a pilot who's really not under any pressure from the opposition team, but fortunately for them, continuing on the racing line and not getting stopped in their tracks or similar. Platon Air isn't taking this too safely as he chases what might be his first ever win in the DCL in only his 3rd race with us. Now the corkscrew is good for both of the pilots in green. The slalom, yes, that's solid. Platon Air now into the 4 gates. Clone Number 1 with him too. And the finish gate welcomes both of them. It's another one too. SDT getting both of those places. Hologram and Labeba coming around. Platon Air, congratulations. Your first ever win as a pilot in the Drone Champions League. Clone Number 1 backing him up for 2nd place. That's another 7 points to 3 for SDT. Labeba and Hologram for Mach 1 were only 0.3 seconds apart at the finish. They are a team who can fly consistently well together, but they need to get a lot more speed. Platon Air gets caught on the waffle here. Just trying to take that turn a lot tighter than he needed to, but typical of a drone racing pilot, you can't really tell them to not push. Natahova and Steph will race now against Silvio and the return of Shrimpy Boy, who we haven't seen racing on the starting roster for SDT so far in Split 2, but he's back now. Always good to see Steph racing for Mach 1 as well. She's a brilliant pilot racing out of Taiwan. She's in 3rd, Natahova in 4th. We're on board with Shrimpy Boy chasing his teammates, seeing all the pilots racing through the Old Town, sort of 90-degree angles to each other. Now the first trip to the dam for these 2 pilots. Silvio getting through the 2 gates first. Steph not far behind Shrimpy Boy. Here he is. Don't think you've got too much clear air behind you. He now swings through the 4 gates. Silvio is quite a bit further ahead of him. Now this race all starting to spread out onto lap number 2. Silvio rolling so nicely through that really complicated waffle down towards the Old Town and the slalom in which comes here. Now we head down to it with Shrimpy Boy. He's got a bit more room. Yes, Steph just not quite in the picture like she was earlier. He's coming out of the ring here. I think all 4 pilots starting to be a little bit further apart from each other and getting stretched out. But as we've seen, pilots can still crash into some of these obstacles, particularly in this latter part of the lap, even when they're not being chased so strongly, not having another drone buzzing around them that might put them off. Lap number 3 here. to the rooftops. On the other side of them coming down, Silvio now racing this like he's lived in Scimitar all his life and just knows this track like his daily commute. This is no issue for him at all. Perhaps we won't be getting any of the dramatic bounces that we've seen in the earlier races. And Shrimpy Boy fairly clear here as well. There's his first gate over the dam. And while he flies his second and reaches down to the river, Silvio bumps into it. There it is, a pilot out in front, just clipping an obstacle when he could have played it safe. Thankfully for him, just skimmed the water and put in a big turn. Shrimpy Boy nearly going for a dip there, but he'll get second. And then Steph and Natahova will come in third and fourth. My. This is why we always say to pilots, never give up. Shrimpy Boy ends up 9 seconds behind Silvio. But together, they're scoring 7 more points. And Silvio gets a captain's win for the team. We've seen him do races like that before. It's just so smooth and clean for him. Here's Shrimpy Boy, you'll see just a little bit shakier, just a little bit of a correction left, right. Just a little change here and there. Whereas Silvio, okay, that's not the smoothest thing I've ever seen him do. A win's a win. Big heat time. So I can see Silvio fancying this one. I can see Platon Air fancying a second win on his record. Let's see who gets it. Hologram, sometimes a little bit slower than everybody else, just a little bit safer out of the blocks perhaps, where she could attack that a little bit more. She with Mach 1, battling with SDT. Our leader at the moment, it's young Platon Air, the first one to get out of the old town and to the rooftops and then to the dam. And he flew this so well earlier on. Let's see if he can get it together again. Clone number 1 and Silvio are chasing him. And Shrimpy Boy in there too. Oh, I think it's all 4 pilots were in the corkscrew at the same time. Now they're all heading to lap number 2. Still led by Platon Air, but the waffle is in front of him. He hit it on the exit last time. It's a turn earlier this time. Hasn't stopped him very much. Admittedly, this early in the race, you can understand why he might be pushing so strongly. Although, as we've seen earlier on, I don't think you stop this 15-year-old pilot from pushing very strongly. Out to the rooftops he goes. Very much on his own, despite that bump. It was only a small one, and again, a fortunate one. Now into the corkscrew. He flies. Clone number 1 is in there as well. You might just see a flash of Natahova's name around the start of the next lap. It's clear she's not in this race for Mach 1. That's a real shame for them. Her drone still at the beginning. For some reason, she hasn't managed to launch it. Now, Platon Air just looked a little bit shaky finding his way to that Foxeer gate there, but look how quick he is again through the old town. Can clone number 1 stay with him? Can Silvio stay with him for that matter? Silvio's going to give it a good go now as he's up into second. Just turns beautifully around that gate. That is real experience there. And Platon Air is weaving the corkscrew. Silvio's in it. Clone number 1 is in it. Now Platon Air to the final gate. Silvio is captain. Will watch his teammate and new find Platon Air get first in front of him. Silvio's there. Shrimpy Boy just touched the water, just bounced it on the straighter part of the river. Clone number 1's already waiting for him. Shrimpy Boy still manages to get fourth. Just a little bump after the corkscrew, but 1 point to him for fourth. All of the points to the team in green. Platon Air, your second win in the DCL in only 4 races. Congratulations to you. Pretty fearless, this young man racing for the team. All those drones giving you something to think about at the start, but the other times he went through the waffle, there was nobody giving him any worries. Clone number 1 here with Silvio weaving their way through the corkscrew, the team owning all of that together. And then on the final lap, Platon Air getting through it. Silvio, then clone number 1. And Shrimpy Boy bouncing off the river and the bridge, but coming in fourth. His teammates getting all the rest of the points. It's another clean sweep. It's 24 points to 6 in favour of SDT. Now this one should be a lot closer. China Dragons against Quad Force 1. Ion and Hosu against QTFPV and AK Drones. Ion with a good start, everyone very close to him, but he's the first one to climb up inside all of the others towards the waffle. Everyone out of it safely. Ion still in the lead. This is QTFPV who's chasing him down towards the old town. And AK Drones just zooms past him. I think it's smoother flying from AK Drones and a little bit rocky from QT. Ion leading everybody towards the dam. Then currently second and third, that's AK Drones and QTFPV for Quad Force 1. And Hosu, the new pilot for China Dragons, yes, he's still challenging the American team. Now Ion leads them towards the gate and hits the first part of this section. Oh, and Ion is gone. No longer in the battle at the front. He's behind Osu and everybody else. He's down in fourth, and AK Drones and QT FPV weaving their way. And you might have just seen there that QT was a little bit shakier than AK Drones again. Let's ride with him and just see how smooth it is. Maybe he's warming up into this track. It's looking better from him now. AK Drones ahead of him. Hosu is very close. He's just alongside. Oh, he's just lost a little bit of time on the exit of that gate. And Ion has caught up very well too. So everybody's in the corkscrew. And Ion is staying there. He's hit the third gate of the corkscrew, and that has lost him a chunk of time. He caught everybody back up before. I'm not sure he'll catch everybody back up from there. We're on to our third lap. AK Drones out in the lead. QT FPV following him to the old town with AK Drones. As he makes this turn, we'll see how close they are. It's Hosu is right down the neck of QT FPV. Well, this race is not over yet. AK Drones still in the lead. QT FPV just hanging on second. Ion moving past Hosu. There's a good scrap between them. He's managed to catch back up again. AK Drones down through the light poles. Now heading to the 4 gates at the end. 2, 3. He's bounced off of it. He's missed the entrance. He's missed the finish. Oh, unbelievable. QT FPV is in. AK Drones is last. He came in so wide. He hit the side of the finish gate, bounced across the entrance, but never went in. Fortunately, it's his teammate who was there for the 4 points, but you've got to feel for AK Drones after everything he'd done. I've seen it happen in real life races a few times. It is rare to see it at all. So Ion exited the race at this stage, fought back and then crashed and fought back again later. And we have to see AK Drones. He hits the third part, 1, 2, there's 3. Now he's off course. He has to do a massive left-hand turn and watch everyone else go in ahead of him. Fortunately, he can shake that off during this heat before he has to fly again in the big heat. Zapita and Gabri against Hyper and Leviathan here. Zapita, the young pilot for China Dragons, with a good start. Now all of them to the waffle. He turns nicely. Gabri's hit part of it. He's at the double back and make sure he completes it. That's why Gabri is a little bit further behind now. Hyper out in the lead for Quad Force 1. And we saw some races earlier on in the season where he had some issues, otherwise was fighting in the lead, but then occasionally getting caught out and not getting those 4 points at the end. Let's see if he can wrap this one up nice and strongly. And Leviathan in second there. It'd be good to see a solid run from him. This is where AK Drones crashed, and Hyper's hit it as well, twice, and he's there for longer, and Levi has passed him onto the next lap. But Hyper already turning inside Leviathan and taking the lead back after the exit through the big waffle. Phew, American fans, just remember to keep breathing, okay? Now what we have here are 2 teams whose split 2 has not been the best we've ever seen of them. China Dragons down in 5th with 1 win. Quad Force 1 in 3rd with 2 wins. But the points and so on, it's all very tight between them. If China Dragons can get a good win over Quad Force 1 here, they could pass the American team. And the really important thing about that is you want to be in our top 4 of our leaderboard, because those will go to the Split 2 finals with a little bit of an advantage. 5th and 6th will also go to the Split 2 finals. The team in 7th place don't get to go. With Leviathan and Hyper into the courtyard, and China Dragons increasingly slipping behind, it's not looking like they're going to go into the big heat on equal terms. Like I said, China Dragons wanted a big points win. At the moment, the win at all is getting away from them. This second race, remember, in a matchup of 3, the finish gate awaits. It's Hyper first, managing to keep the win. Second place is Leviathan. Quite a big gap between them, surprisingly. Zapita's in. Gabri Prince bounces off the 4th gate but makes it home too. Wow, that final gate of the lap is causing quite a few issues. China Dragons, though, you've just let a lot of points get away as Hyper and Leviathan just couldn't be stopped, even though some parts of our track really tried to stop them. Zapita was off to a good start, but then just kind of lagged behind. Gabri had a crash there. That didn't help him. Of course, it was Hyper's bigger crash, which was the concern, but he got off the water and out of that gate and still managed to get a win. Big heat time. All 8 pilots for the last time today. For China Dragons to beat Quad Force 1, they need at least 8 points, which means they've got to come 1st and 2nd and 3rd or 4th. Or both, if they fancy the clean sweep. 8 points, what they need. Hyper in the position that will get you 4 at the end. He leads everybody through the old town. They've got to get in front of him. They've got to take 2nd and more. Now we go to the dam. They are all really close at this section. It's very tight. And their first bit of luck for China Dragons. Hyper's hit the first part of the corkscrew, sent him off course. He had to go very high. The lead's not his. In fact, it's Gabri Prince and Zapita's, and there's a third China Dragons pilot around there. This is what they need. Zapita in second. Now Gabri Prince is in front of him. China Dragons starting to grab these scoring points. Leviathan trying to hang on to anything from them for a Quad Force 1. In fact, the American team starting to show their strength now. It's still Gabri Prince out in front. Leviathan's moved up into second and is on the chase to try and take those 4 points. Oh, but Leviathan hits the first of the dams. He's overshot the second. Oh, it is all out of shape. He's missed the gate. He's gone back around. He's found his way through. But the chase from Leviathan is over. But Hyper has managed to catch Gabri Prince and pass him in the corkscrew. And the lead now at the start of the final lap, it's Hyper and Quad Force 1. And whatever Gabri Prince was doing, he can't keep up with Hyper. And unfortunately, most of China Dragons can't keep up with Gabri Prince either. Their hold on some of the points briefly, first and second, and maybe enough. It's a long way out of reach now. Gabri is still throwing himself at this, but he's just going to bump through that second gate and barely goes over the top of it. He's desperate for this second place, but he's got a lot of company now after just scraping through. Hyper is home for Quad Force 1, bringing them the win at least by himself. But now more points coming in for China Dragons and Quad Force 1. It's not going to work out the way the team in orange hoped. It becomes a 5-all race. Hyper and AK Jones getting 4 points and 1 respectively. Gabri and Zapita between them, second and third. Good for them, but not enough points as they wished. Hyper hanging on for another win, despite having another race which was seeing him in a lot of different positions, including the bounce there, sending him well out of line. Gabri Prince and Zapita were in those 7 points and just needed one of their teammates to get some more, and Leviathan threw himself at the dam. As you can see, he hit both of the gates in an effort to stop them, but ultimately they were denied. Quad Force 1 get the win there in a great battle with China Dragons, which ends up China Dragons with 13 points and Quad Force 1 with 17, and more importantly, another win on their season. So these are the results. What does that do for our leaderboard? Well, the only team who weren't racing were Raiden. They're on a bye week. They'll be relieved to see that they didn't lose their position. Cyclone are now the only team with 5 wins out of 5. Quad Force 1 and STT both getting a win, get a little bit closer to Raiden but stay where they are respectively. STT did massively improve their heat point difference though. Next time on race day 6, well, we have 4th place versus 5th, 1st place versus 2nd, and 7th place versus 6th. Everyone closely matched. What a set of battles. Join me, Matt Andrews, and the DCL next time, and we'll see you in the skies.